Yeah, so the Marine Security Regiment here that does like anti-terrorism, providing anti-terrorism support for naval assets around the world and other national assets. I came to just hear about the work of the regiment, which is really important, and it's now a battalion based right here, formally designated this year as a battalion. But I also am here at this barracks because we really have housing challenges throughout the military, not just the Marines. All the service branches have significant needs. We've done a lot of work in recent years on married housing for married officers and married enlisteds, but we were a little slow out of the gate doing work on barracks for the unaccompanied. And so this is a state-of-the-art barracks project. I fought to get funding for it on the Armed Services Committee in 2015. In 2023 it opened, so it's sort of getting the funding, then 8 years later it's open, but I hadn't had a chance to visit once it opened. So this is really impressive. About 250 people live here, but they're using some great design principles. The rooms have ample storage. There's you can see a recreational facility right in the middle of the barracks, so people don't have to go to the gym when the weather's bad. They can actually do work right here. There's a kitchen so folks can do some cooking. Not everybody wants to go to the chow hall 3 times a day for their entire deployment. They might like to cook. So it's a really good design, and we're working on the defense bill right now, and there's going to be a lot of work in this year's defense bill on barracks improvements in the Marines and elsewhere. What you have here in this barracks here on the Yorktown Naval Base is kind of an example that we hope to follow throughout the service.
Honest opinion on this place? Are you impressed, or do you think?
Very impressed, very impressed. And the stats are pretty good. They're almost completely full. If people have a choice between this and even the other barracks that you can see in the background are new, they're just not as new as this one. People want to be in this building, and you can see why as you go through and see both the rooms, but also the common areas, availability of laundry, availability of rec center, availability of a kitchen. You can see why people want to be here. And this is all not about comfort, it's about retention. We want people to have quality housing that they feel good about. They got missions that are tough enough. Housing shouldn't be an additional stressor, it should relieve stress. And if you do that, you retain people longer, which is something that we want to do.
Talk to me about the update that you received on their missions here and what was said in that room back there. I mean, you retained a lot of information today.
Yes, well, it's the Virginia is filled with really cool missions. I mean, one of the great things about on the Armed Services Committee is, I can work on submarine construction issues. That's how I started the day over at the HI shipyard, talking to the new CEO there about subs and carriers and improvements to the physical infrastructure there, or barracks, or munitions at the Radford Arsenal, or VA hospital issues. I mean, everywhere you go in Virginia, if you're an Armed Services Committee member, there is something directly related to our nation's defense and the people who provide that frontline defense every day. The mission, providing security to weapon systems, providing security to bases or military operations is what these guys do, and it's getting more complicated. One of the questions I asked them about is drones. You watch what happened last week, the Ukrainian drone strike in Russia. We all know, because it's been widely reported here, the drone incursions onto Langley, just a few miles from here. This is getting more and more complicated, and so any mission that is to counter terrorism or provide security for military operations has got all kinds of new threats that they have to entertain. We talked about that over at the shipyard today too, and then we talked about it here.
What else would you like to see done here? Because I know that this is not the permanent solution. This is just one of the many things. Is there anything else that you're trying to tackle with specifically the Navy and the Marines?
I think the barracks issue is really important because it connects to so many other things. We've had challenges in the Navy family, the Marines, all the service branch are on mental health issues. If your living situation is better, the mental health issues are not so severe. All these things connect one to another. And so the reason I really came today, I said there's sort of two halves. One, because I battled for the funding for this and I wanted to see it. But really, it's more about the future. We have a lot of barracks work we've got to do all over Hampton Roads, all over the country. Not just Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force. We've got barracks work everywhere. And we want to see what the best models are and then learn from those. We don't have to recreate the wheel every time. And this will give me some good information to share with my colleagues. In fact, I was at lunch and I was asking everybody, where they were from, And then I said, so you got a senator on the Armed Services Committee here, like, what do you want to tell me? What should I tell my colleagues? And one of the Marines who lives here said, but I came from Lejeune. They really need barracks work done there. And one of my colleagues on the committee is Ted Budd of North Carolina, so I'm going to be able to see him at an Armed Services hearing tomorrow and talk to him about, okay, here's what I heard. Can we work on it together?
My only curveball, feel
Yes,
free to decline it.
curve is fine.
Just what is your opinion about what's going on in LA right now, the protests? I mean, it's dominating the headlines. Anything that you'd say about the matter?
Yes, so I was a mayor and governor. I would not want the National Guard coming in if I hadn't asked. We rely on the mayors and governors to ask for assistance. If they feel like they have the capacity to deal with this, the president forcing National Guard into the situation, the Secretary of Defense saying publicly, I've got Marines at the ready to send. Wait for the governor to ask you. Wait for the mayor to ask you. That's the way the system is supposed to work. And so everybody needs to be peaceful. There's never an excuse for violence. Peaceful protest is very legitimate. But the way the system is supposed to work is you send Guard in if the mayor or governor asks for it, and they have not asked because they think they can handle it. And I think the president's decision to send in without an ask is an escalation of the problem, not an effort to de-escalate the problem.